Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Lashon with the Center for Performance Medicine Rehabilitation. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're with the Mystique head coach, Marquette Mystique head coach, Sara Genetti. And that is your new married name, right?
I'm newly married.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited to get started. I know there's so much that goes into being a head coach, and so many girls and so many things to organize and to figure out and manage your time and so on and so forth. But really where I want to start is, how did you get started in dance? I mean, what was, number one, when did you start dancing? Number two, what gravitated you towards school dance teams? And number three, also, what gravitated you towards becoming a coach?
Okay.
So,
well, I started dancing at the age of 3 at Charlotte. It's in South County. And just like taking a class a week, we didn't think anything would come about it. Actually, at my wedding, my dad made a joke about it, and his father, his dad's speech, and he was like, my wife said we're just gonna take one class, they have a recital, it won't be much, it won't be, she won't, just a year maybe, and here I am, 25 years later. But I started at 3, started competing, I think 5 or 6, did a little duet. Did that all throughout, up through senior year. Never did the dance team thing, just strictly studio, lived up there every day, every night, taught there. And then knew I didn't want to stop. I didn't really want to do a dance program, and dance team really started to grab my interest, and so I started looking around at different schools, and then visited Missouri State down in Springfield, fell in love, tried out for their dance team, made that, was on that all 4 years. Came back, still didn't want to stop dancing, went back to the studio, kept teaching, and then I got a Facebook message saying that Marquette was looking for a high school coach. I was like, that sounds like, coach just sounds like responsibility, and I was just graduated from college, so I didn't know if I wanted to take that on, but it was for their JV, and I was like, I'll give it a try for a year, and, with it being JV, I was under leadership still. Started coaching, loved it, moved up to, I was assistant varsity, I think the next 2 years, and then this is my 2nd year as head coach.
Awesome,
so, yeah.
Awesome. So, talking about the girls and coaching and so on and so forth, so what are you looking for in a Mystique dancer compared to a varsity dancer that would make your varsity squad, and then a JV dancer that would make your JV squad? What's
the main difference between?
I mean, you could even categorize it as, okay, this is what I look at with varsity potential, this is what I look at with JV, this is the progression that I see in their development.
I think the main thing that we see in varsity is their consistency. Okay. If they have the quad, if they have the solid triple, that's a huge thing. Their turns, obviously, we don't expect them on varsity to have everything perfect or to make varsity, and you can't make mistakes. I mean, that's just human nature. You build from your mistakes, but I think on varsity we kind of just expect them to have those basic turns so that we don't have to focus on the technique. JV, we still, I think we hold still a really high standard, especially for a JV program. But they still need to have the solid double and almost a clean triple. We even started working on quads with our JV team, so we do expect that of them. But also with varsity, I think when you represent a school, you have to have a higher level of maturity, and I think that that's really important in varsity because they are representing at football and basketball and just walking the halls of school. So a lot of it is consistency, that extra urge to work outside of practice, to want it, to not just get on varsity and to be comfortable, and I'm on varsity so I don't have to work hard anymore.
Right.
So just that extra want and preparation outside of practice.
I would almost assume that would also create a leadership role for the JV kids that are girls that are coming up.
Definitely.
Create that environment that you're looking for, almost a culture.
Right.
So I would assume that your varsity team is the team that creates that culture, and then everyone else feeds from that culture.
Right.
That there's already expectations that they need to meet.
Definitely.
Not only on the field, but in the classroom and so on and so forth.
Yeah, school. We stress school a lot. We've been our grades. We've been honored for our grades every year, year after year, both JV and varsity.
Awesome.
A lot of 4.0s, a lot of, you know. So it's not like dance team. Like
right.
School comes first, and then dance team. You know, if your grades aren't good, then you need to step back and take a focus on that, and then, you know,
Sure.
come back and get your priorities in order and get your scheduling right. So yeah.
Awesome. What would you say would be the number one mistake that a person would make, and if they're wanting to try out for Mystique?
Well, I think this is just a mistake in general. I think that when a lot of dancers want to do dance team, they think that they can just quit studio and quit that extra. Those technique classes aren't going to matter because they're going to get them in dance team. We don't have the time to do ballet and to work on technique every week, you know, for an hour or two. And you can totally tell when a dancer quits their dance studio classes. They're just not as consistent. Their technique, you know, the pointed toes and everything that we don't have time to teach, that we just expect them to know, they quit working on that. And so I think that that's a huge mistake. Is not, obviously studio and dance team both take up time, but if you're on dance team, you can still be taking a technique class a week or 2 classes a week. So that's the biggest mistake that I've seen.
Wow, I'm really relieved that you said that, because from a rehab standpoint and injury standpoint, that is one of the biggest things that I see. Even though I'm not an expert in the technique, mine comes in more biomechanics and movement, strengthness, weakness, and flexibility. I definitely notice a difference, especially with the ballet classes and
Right.
jazz classes. If they're not continually doing that,